Welcome back to Violent Money TV. Today, I am joined by Jackie Buntan, who returns at 169 to fight for the inaugural Women's Strawweight Kickboxing World Championship against Anissa Meksen, November 8th, Lumpini Stadium. The first thing to get to, I suppose, is how much did the change in this card being in Atlanta to changing to Lumpini, which I know, fighting in Thailand is something you're used to doing at this point, but I'm sure that you already had plans for Atlanta. So did it change things around too much for you?
It changed a little bit, but like you said, every fight has been in Asia for me, so everything's truly the same. There's no difference. Obviously, you have to fly out a bit earlier. Would have been nice to be able to fight here at home in the States, but this is what I do. I fight in Asia, so nothing new.
Yeah, what's the travel length like to get to Thailand for you?
Okay, so I'm based in Los Angeles. In total, a travel from LA to BKK with the layover, that's a 22-hour travel day.
That's rough. Do you usually go
Yeah.
out like on the actual week still?
No, I never did. I always want one to fly out much earlier than that. I try to get there. I'll be getting to Bangkok by Friday, this Friday. So I always try to get there by Friday or Saturday before the fight because I need a full week to adjust and everything.
What's the difference in the weather if you're based out of LA? Because I just spoke to the last person I spoke to who's also on this card is Jacob Smith, who is also from the UK, same as me. And so the difference in going over to Thailand is like, the complete opposite.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do well like in that type of heat and humidity. It doesn't really phase me too much to be honest. But the weather's very different. I'm here coastal. I'm by the beach, so I'm in, it's what right now? It's like maybe 70 degrees out right now, sunny. Not dry or sticky at all, but I'm used to it.
This matchup with Anissa is absolutely fantastic. I'm sure that when you got offered it, it was a bit of a no-brainer to take. And I know that after your last win, you were talking about potentially kickboxing or mixed rules, or basically being open to anything that one wanted to throw your way. So, in terms of the options that could have been presented to you, I imagine this was, one of the better things that you could have been offered.
Oh yeah, this is what I had my eyes on was to go for kickboxing and have it be for the kickboxing belt. The inaugural belt is just the cherry on top.
Do you think like I read a little bit about you talking about this transition to kickboxing? First of all, before we get into the actual switch, how has that process been? Was there anything that kind of surprised you about switching to kickboxing for this training camp?
I wouldn't say surprise. I feel like I knew there were going to be some changes that I had to implement into my game, or I'd say things I had to add on into my game. Being able to train with Janet, my training partner, she held the kickboxing belt in one championship as well. I was able to train with her throughout those camps and see the changes she had to make and the stylistically the things she had to add into her game plan. So I kind of had a heads up and kind of knew what was coming. Um, but I'd say, this fight was slated for July this year. Obviously, I got injured, had to pull out. So having that extra time to really like solidify and embed those new changes and add-ons, like I think it would really help me out.
Yeah, I'm sure Janet is a huge benefit specifically for this camp because she is someone that has done that switch herself, but also predominantly a kickboxer. So having that source of experience and information right there, I mean, throughout your career, but especially for this fight, I imagine it was particularly beneficial.
Oh, extremely.
Yeah, with Anissa, obviously the narrative going in is going to be about her experience in kickboxing, I think, versus some of the strengths that you bring over from Muay Thai. Is that how you look at it? Like, is beating the experience of Anissa and working a way around that kind of the toughest part of this fight?
Um, I mean, I wouldn't say I get like obviously it's of course she has way more experience than I am. I'm definitely am the underdog on papers with the data, the numbers side to side. But I've besides Anissa, I've fought girls who have more experience than me as well and was still able to come out on top. I think the challenge is just be able to execute what I've been working for the past 2 months and execute it on fight night. The experience, obviously I'm not going into there naive. She's a force to be reckoned with, but as long as I'm able to stay calm and present and execute what I need to, then I'll be good.
I feel like one of the more interesting things with you making the switch to kickboxing is seeing how the power transfers over, because that's something that's clearly been there in your Muay Thai fights. Is that something that you've either had to adjust to or something that just came naturally in terms of still feeling that same kind of power despite the heavier gloves? Like, do you think that'll be an important part of this fight?
I think tremendously, going when I turned pro, I truly felt like, oh wow, okay, this is a different type of power that I have, and it's not just a one fight type of thing. It's every fight I'm able to showcase the type of power I have in myself, in my hands and my legs, and I think it's going to carry over just fine. That power hasn't gone anywhere. It's not going to go anywhere. So it's still going to be there despite bigger gloves. It's still going to transfer through.
Do you think, like, in terms of the Muay Thai division right now at strawweight is in a little bit of a weird place, obviously with what happened with Smiller. Is competing in both of them at the same time something like, is there an opportunity for you to go back to Muay Thai after winning this belt and try to win that vacant title?
Yeah, that would be the goal. First thing first is, like you said, win this belt first next week, and then next year, be active, defend the belt, go for the Muay Thai belt, whatever it may be.
Was there a big lesson? I mentioned Smiller then, so it just got me thinking, was there a lesson that you were able to take from that title fight with her? Like, obviously you've got, we talk about the experience of Anissa. Obviously, you've got a lot of experience in one, but in terms of that title fight, came quite early. I think it was your third fight in one at the time, right? The Smiller
My
fight,
fourth fight.
fourth, and for Smiller also, fairly early on in her one career. What were you able to gain from that that you weren't necessarily able to gain from the other fights?
I really came in tune with myself as a fighter, as an athlete. I knew I knew I could push things to the limit and sustain that. I knew that I had heart, but that fight truly showed me like I can do whatever. I had to dig deep and push through in that fight, and that I did. I feel like I didn't, I lost, obviously. I feel like I didn't slow down. I kept fighting up until the fifth round, and that really proved that I had heart, I had grit, and if I, even if I get pulled down to rough waters, I won't let myself get pulled down. I have the ability to keep swimming, keep going up.
The performances that you produced after the Smiller win, I think, really kind of Smiller defeat, sorry, really showed that. I think in terms of taking like another level up, it seemed in defeat. Really good, impressive bounce back wins, and seeing that Smiller rematch was really high on my wish list of stuff to see in one. Obviously, it doesn't look like it'll happen with her moving up weight, and I know that you've said about not being too keen on the idea of pursuing her up the weight class. Is that something that at all is something in your mind in terms of getting that win back, or is it just a case of Smiller is too big for this weight class now, and she kind of doesn't have any option but to move up, and so you're kind of going your separate ways at this stage?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really haven't even thought about it.
Mm.
When we were supposed to fight last year, but ever since then, I truly haven't thought about it just because different opportunities come. And when I have an opportunity, I'm not focused on the next one. So, like right now, focused on the kickboxing one. And in terms of where Smila's at, that's, she's young, she's way younger than me, she's growing. So, that's a case of, that's up to her if she's able to maintain 125 or not. I'm not sure.
Do you think this fight against Anissa is tougher than that Smiller fight was in terms of maybe Smiller obviously had different advantages in terms of her height and things like that, but not only facing a world class opponent in Anissa, but also having this switch over into kickboxing, which changes things up a little bit. So that adds a little bit of an unknown, I suppose, just in terms of the actual fight itself.
Yeah, I mean, will it be difficult? I don't know. I don't think I'll have that answer until I'm finished, done with the fight. But the idea is, make your step on all the pins and needles in my training camp. That way, once I'm there under those lights, it's, everything I've thought, I feel like I've seen it all by the time I'm in there. And that's the goal. And that's what I always try to do every fight camp.
Yeah, I mean, this fight, like I said at the start, is a fantastic matchup on a great card as well. 1169. I can't wait to see it. Jackie, I appreciate your time. All the best with that long flight that I do not envy you for over to Thailand, but I'm sure it'll be worth it in the end come November 8th. I appreciate your time and all the best.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye bye.
Yeah.